was trying to think because I'm like, oh, how I update? What updates? I haven't actually told you guys the story of mine and Liam's anniversary dinner, which the restaurant attempted to gluten me twice. Not intentionally. It was hilarious. In a way, it was kind of funny because, as you guys know, like I've had hella pandemic anxiety this for the entire time, and so I'm only now starting to feel a bit more confident about like getting back out into the world. So pick and choose my battles like little wins. So we decided that we're gonna go out for dinner and a movie, and at the mall. So we got there early. First of all, okay, let's start from the beginning. I decided, yes, we want to do dinner and a movie, and I'm always talking about how I miss Red Lobster crab legs. Because Liam's not a big seafood guy. 1, 2, 3, 4 on the 5th. 1, 2, 3, 4 on the 5th. And I'm always talking about how much I miss Red Lobster and haven't been able to find like crab legs to eat in the UK. 1, 2, 3, 4. At least in this general area. I'm sure there's like some bougie ass seafood restaurants in London and stuff, but up around these parts, not so much. So Liam sends me a link to this restaurant that does like, it's kind of like Southern surf and turf. So I think they're sort of trying to do like Southern barbecue as well as like seafood and stuff like that. So they did, burgers, which he loves. He loves meat. And then they do seafood. So they do like this seafood medley thing with like mussels and shrimp and crab legs and lobster and whatever. And I was like, this is awesome. That's cool. So usually, nowadays, what I find happens with restaurants is you can look at their allergen menu. So you have your main menu, but if you search, usually they'll pull up an allergen menu and you can look at, and it's usually a chart with all of the menus, and then there's like the 10 most common allergens at the top, and then you cross-reference which things may or may not have gluten. A lot of places around here, TGI Fries does it, Harvester does it, a lot of different places do it. So I was like, cool, gonna check to see if this place does gluten-free. They don't have an allergen menu on their website. So you can't pre-scout what you may or may not be able to eat. I was like, well, that's annoying. As a millennial, I'm like, oh shit, I actually have to call them. Which, whatever, I survived calling. So I called and I was like, I just want to double check that you guys are able to cater for gluten-free. They're like, yep, there's no problem. Like, your waiter can address, like, to point you in the right direction of what you can and cannot eat. I was like, perfect, that's really great. We'll book an appointment. So we'll book a table for 8:15 because our movie's at 10:20 in the evening. So we had to stay up late for that shiz. Let me just do my counting. 1, 2. Hang on. Okay, let's do counting. Let's pause the story. Do some counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and then 7, 8. 7, 8. Okay, so we book a reservation for 8:15. That's great. We get there, around like 7:45. So Liam and I walk around the mall for a bit. That was some good exposure therapy for me. I didn't, nothing bad happened. We just did our rounds and then we get to the restaurant. And so we get there and we're like, hi, we have a reservation. Like, we're a few minutes early. Is that all right? They're like, yeah, no problem. Wait at the bar and we'll get your table sorted. And so we're kind of like, okay, like, so we get to the bar but there's like maybe 3 tables there and a bunch of people are already standing and waiting around at the bar. And so we're like, okay, are all of these other people waiting to be seated before us? Did they have reservations? Did they just walk in? Like, what's the situation? And so we're like, whatever, like, we'll wait for a bit. We just kind of stood around awkwardly trying not to be in the way, because to be fair, the bar was kind of right in the middle of where all the tables and stuff were, so you kind of, like, needed to be out of the way of, like, the waiters rushing about and stuff. So we're standing there, and they're seating people, and also, too, when you go to TGI Fridays and you have to wait, they give you, like, that buzzer so you know, like, where you are, like, in order and stuff. The woman was just kind of like, yeah, I'll wait at the bar. And I was like, you guys gonna remember that, like, we're here? So, made a reservation for 8:15. We didn't get seated until 8:30. So we're like, well, I don't know what the point of making a reservation was if we were still going to have to wait the entire time. Because there were people that were rocking up and basically just told to wait at the bar without a reservation, same way we did with a reservation. That's fine. So we sit down. Takes like, 10, 15 minutes. Well, not 10, but more like 10 minutes for our waiter to come by. And we're like, okay, cool. Hi, blah, blah, blah. I have to eat gluten-free. Because usually what happens, this happens at every restaurant you go to, you have the waiter or the host that will seat you. And you go, okay, cool. And then the server will come by and I'll be like, hi, I have to eat gluten-free. So they either have to go and get the menu swaps. So if I know they have a gluten-free menu, I will ask the hostess before we sit down because they always have to then just get up. And the more times that the waiter has to leave to get your specialty information, the longer it takes for you to order your food. So I try to like circumvent that by being like, I need this now before I sit down. I need this before we start ordering, whatever. So that wasn't an option because remember, they don't have an allergen menu anywhere. So the waiter shows up and he's like, cool, what can you order? And I was like, yep, we would like to order gluten-free. And his eyes just went, okay, give me 1 second. I'm like, he doesn't know what the fuck is going on, which is fine. Like they, whatever. Because half the time, usually, the only other reference I have for this TGI Fridays, what happens is the waiter will go and get the, like, general manager or some, like, head waiter or something to come and explain the allergens. Basically to be like, please do not sue us. We cannot ensure that no cross-contamination will occur. And I'm like, yes, cool, dude. I promise I will not sue you. What is the best chance of me not becoming ill in this restaurant? Here are your options. Okay, cool, thanks. So this guy comes over and he does this drop-down menu. And by the way, the only reason we're at this restaurant is because they had crab legs on the menu and I've been missing some crab legs. So the guy comes over and he's like, as you can see, these are the options. And he's like basically listing out my options. And I was like, sir, I just want to know if I can have crab legs. That's all I need to know. And so he checks and sure enough, I can have this crab bag. It comes with 2 different sauces. There's like a hot and spicy sauce or like a white wine sauce. Like a white garlic sauce. And so he's like, yep, cool. You can have this crab bake or whatever with this white sauce. And I'm like, perfect, we'll have that. Apparently the potato skins are also gluten-free, so we asked for those. Cool. He goes off and we get our potato skins. And then we realize, this was like, another 10, 15 minutes later, we realize we have no cutlery. We have no napkins. We don't have anything to consume our potato skins with. Hi, Connie. How are you? Good afternoon. I hope you're having a fabulous day. You're just in time for my anniversary dinner rant. I hope you're having a good time. So we get these potato skins, which by the way, it's 3 potato skins. So it's 1.5 potatoes. I don't understand, like from a cost benefit, it just seems really dumb that you get 1.5 potatoes for your potato skins. Wouldn't you get both potatoes? But whatever. So there were 3. So we had 1.5 each. But of course and also they gave us like this cream cheese. It wasn't like a sour cream. So it was thick. So we needed knives or something to spread. There wasn't any dippable stuff. So we're like, okay, cool. And then of course, they're buzzing about. So it took, a good 2-3 minutes to flag down the waiter to be like, yo, we don't have any cutlery or napkins. And he's like, oh my God, so sorry. So he comes, puts down a napkin, puts down a fork, and like a Crocodile Dundee steak knife. Like a massive steak knife. So I used my massive steak knife to scoop this like cream cheese and put it on our baked potato skin. But whatever, they were really great. That was fine. Sore as sunburn. Oh no. Oh, that sucks. Isn't that good? Do you have like some aloe vera or some after sun cream that you can like slather yourself in to just not feel pain? I was outside a lot yesterday afternoon and I was very surprised I didn't end up sunburnt. I probably should have, wore some sunscreen. Do as I say, not as I do. Yeah, oh, I'm really sorry to hear that. So we eat the potato skins. Potato skins are great. And then we're sitting there and we're checking, you know, the time is ticking. I think it's like 9 o'clock at this point, probably like more like 9:30, quarter after 9, whatever. And we still haven't received our mains. And we're like waiting for our mains. Festival weather, been bathing in the sun. Yeah. Oh, you've been bathing in this stuff. Yeah, absolutely. Good, good. Tis the season, eh? Tis the season for outdoor festivals. So finally, it was really funny because the way we were seated, in order for me to sort of see the staff, I had to turn around. So I sort of started just sitting like this, like watching, like kind of like WTF, man, like maybe we'll flag somebody down. And so then this guy who looks like maybe he's the manager or something, he notices us in the corner and he's like, oh, like, hi, like, is everything okay? Like, is everything, what's going on, you guys? And we're like, well, we've been waiting here for about 40 minutes and haven't received our mains yet. And he's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, what did you order? And Liam, like, you know, he ordered this, like, you know, barbecue meat feast thing. And I was like, and I ordered the shrimp bake with the white sauce gluten-free. And the guy's like, you ordered... Who told you that the white sauce was gluten-free? And I was like, well, the whoever, some guy who wasn't our waiter, came over with an allergen menu and told me that this was the option. And he's like, that doesn't make any sense because the white sauce is made with a roux, which has flour in it, so obviously that's not going to be gluten-free. And as he's explaining this to us, of course, then our food comes out. And so we're like, well, okay. And he's like, give me a second, let me figure out what's gone wrong. And so in the meantime, this busboy is standing there with our food. And I'm like, well, give Liam his food. Send mine back because apparently I'm not allowed to eat it. And we'll figure out what's going on. And so the guy, the manager comes back and he was like, when I did my whatever, like when I did my training at head office and whatever, the higher up said that our allergen menu is wrong and they reversed which one was gluten-free. So it says on here that the white wine is gluten-free, but I was trained that it was the opposite. So this is wrong, you know? And I'm sitting there being like, well, clearly you didn't train your other staff to know that your allergen menu is not correct. But fine. And so the guy was like, do you want this crab bake in the hot and spicy, or do you want to order something different? And I was like, sir, I came here for crab. Crab is what I want. I will get the hot and spicy. I just want the crab. I don't give a shit what sauce it comes in. I wasn't swearing at him. This is just my internal monologue. And the guy's like, cool. And I was like, yeah, you know, but just so you know, like, we have a movie. So by now it's like 10 o'clock, right? And so I was like, yeah, but we do have a movie at 20 after. So how long is it going to take? And the guy's like, I'll put the order in right now. It's going to take like 8 minutes. I'm so sorry. Hold tight. I'm like, cool, whatever. Liam's like sheepishly eating his food, but like trying not to be an asshole and like gouge out in front of me. And I'm like, buddy, you need to eat. We got places to be. And then in the meantime, some little chicky bus girl comes out and is like, oh, steak meal, or the seafood whatever medley. And I was like looking at it, and of course it doesn't look hot and spicy, it looks all white and creamy. And I was like, is this the white wine sauce? And she goes, yes. And I'm like, no, that's not my order, we've already sent that one back. And she was kind of like, wait, what? So not only did they muck up the order, but I guess the busboy sent that food back to the kitchen. The guy was like, well, what the hell is this doing here? Sent it to the table without being informed that, no, this was a mistake. So they tried to gluten me twice. But then eventually, I get my food, and it's piping hot. And the thing with these sorts of, like, seafood bake things or whatever is that all of this stuff is in the shell, right? So we have clams, mussels, shrimp, crab in this hot and spicy sauce, fresh out of the oven, so it's bubbling hot. And everything you need to kind of eat with your fingers because it's all shelled. And so the guy asked me, well, do you want a bib? Because, you know, when you eat at, like, crab shacks and stuff, they give you a bib. And I was like, I don't need a bib. It's fine. I'll just get my fingers all saucy. And the guy's like, sure, whatever. Like, are you sure? I was like, yeah. Mind you, I'm wearing a white shirt and, like, a black vest. Like, a black shirt over top of it. I'm like, whatever, it's fine. And then I get to my crab legs. Well, of course, they're shelled. And usually, when you go to Red Lobster or any sort of crab shack, yes, exactly. So you go to this crab shack and they give you the, like, shell crackers, right? So the thing to crack open all the shells. So we didn't get that. So I just assumed, at this point I was like, I don't give a shit, guys. We got 10 minutes until this movie starts. I'm just doing what I can. So even, like, the big jumbo shrimp had its shell. So I was brute forcing the meat out of these shells. And of course, mind you, it's covered in this tomato-based hot and spicy sauce. So I'm like, fuck it. I am here for crab. I want the crab. So I start trying to crack it. And of course, as soon as I crack it, the shell pops and all of the sauce that's on the shell splurts all over me. So I get it on my shirt. I get it in my hair. I start trying to dab it with a napkin and I just keep spreading it. Liam's like, don't, you're making it worse. So I made myself a bib because I was like, not making that same mistake again. So I'm trying to eat this food and of course it's hot on my fingers because it's fresh from the oven full of sauce. I'm trying in vain to get the crab that I so desperately wanted and the whole reason we were here. And so I get to a point where I just have to abandon ship, right? I ate all the things that I could get to and I was like, I tried, it's not happening. The 2 or 3 times I, like, got my nail in the crab shell and popped it open. At one point, shell flew in our water glasses because I was just brute forcing and snap crackle popping all over the place. We're, like, the only table left downstairs. At 10 o'clock, I think all of the busboys and all the support staff left because the store, like, the restaurant closes at 10. But obviously there was a bunch of us still in the restaurant. But they were like, cool, shift done, peace, bye. Which, fair. I don't blame them for that. So at the end of it all, I'm like, that was exhausting. Whatever, I'm full. I'm going to go wash up because we have to go to the movie. Liam's like, fine, whatever, I'll pay. So the guy comes back, and of course he feels terrible already. So he's already comped my meal. He's comped our drinks. He gave us a discount on Liam's meal. Like, I think Liam spent like 40 pounds on the whole meal. And like, it could have been so much more than that. So he feels like absolutely terrible. And then, so I guess at the end, Liam's like, they're like, oh, was everything okay at the end? And Liam's like, how are you supposed to eat the crab legs? Like, everything comes in a shell. How are you, like, you know, my wife was struggling. How are you supposed to eat it? And the guy goes, did your waiter not bring you the shell crackers? And he's like, no. And the guy's like, I'm so sorry. And Liam's like, also, we didn't have any cutlery when we started. Like, there was nothing on the table. And he's like, oh my God. And you can just tell that this manager is like, holy shit. This couple has had the... And I'm just laughing. I'm like, this is some absolute shenanigans. And maybe it's a sign of the universe, you know? Tasha's first foray back into society in a quote-unquote post-pandemic, it's still pandemic world. And, you know, maybe I'm not supposed to leave the house. I'm kidding. It was fine. But it was just hilarious. All I could do was laugh. Sounds a bit selfish of the restaurant, but yeah, exactly. It was just absolute chaos, and it was hilarious to me. And I was like, well, nope, that's it. So I have to learn how to make my own crab legs, and I'm gonna get the melted butter sauce that you get at Red Lobster. None of this like bougie roux, whatever. Like, I don't want to keep it fancy. I just want my crab legs and my butter to like pour all over it, and that's all I need. None of this fancy bougie shit that's trying to poison me. But then we went to go see the Bob's Burgers movie. I had some popcorn and all was right in the world again. Shadow had a successful sleepover with his grandparents and everything was great. So now we just got a hella story. But yes, Rutro was right cause. I hope you're doing well, friend.